All right, so we're going to start off with picking out your pool builder, which that's a very, very important part.
So before we jump into that, Joe, I want to explain or have you explain. So we are designers, and you're going to have a designer and you have a builder. It may be the same person. The reason we are designers is because we're on the creative side, and the design. It doesn't matter how good your pool builder is. If you don't have a good design, you're not going to have a successful project. Now, you do need a builder to be successful as well, but it does start with the design, so I don't want to overlook that as you are choosing a builder. Make sure either from them or from a company like ours or from something similar that you have a good, well thought out design.
Yeah, because I see, believe me, in the past I've gone up against other designers, and you can always tell who hasn't been ever worked in the field before. You can always tell who comes right out of college and starts working in an office, or you can tell that somebody that's only been doing it for 6 months. That's just like a car salesman. It's like, okay, and believe me, I've met plenty of people that the pool company will just hire people to go out, and they're more salespeople and not the designer. They're going to look in your backyard and they're going to pick out. They're not going to have that vision of going in the back and saying, no, let's not pick out the easiest place. Let's pick out the best place. And the easiest place might be the best place. So, Rip, you're right. The best thing to do, if you're not using somebody like us, find a company that has a great designer. And I also feel like it's very important to make sure that the company you pick out, that the designer is right there with you through the job. Because a lot of companies, their designer, once they sell the job, they're the salesperson, you don't see them anymore.
Well, a lot of times they're a commission salesperson, so there's no incentive for them to even be on site unless they just are wanting to do that, which obviously we do. And a lot of times they don't have the experience. The pool builder doesn't want them there because the designer doesn't know what they're talking about. They sold the design, but the pool builder doesn't even trust them to be involved in the process. And we both have seen that many times in the industry, so it's not it's certainly not uncommon.
Yeah, you gotta make sure that your designer kind of knows what they're talking about and don't just come up with some pretty design, because if you pick out a company that you decide you want them to build your pool, it really is because of the designer / salesperson. They come out, you meet with them. I think it's important that you really have that connection, because they're not just selling you a product, thank you, ma'am, and you don't see them again. You're going to be working for several months through this person, not just the company. So you have your trust them, you like their design. So they need to be with you through the project, because versus on day one on pool dig day, you're handing it over to basically a stranger, and you called this pool company because you probably read reviews, which reviews are important. Or you may be calling somebody because maybe a friend or family used the same company and they were happy. That's probably a great review right there, just having it from your, or you might on
Personal
social media.
recommendation.
Yeah.
So that's the designer. Now that also bleeds right into the builder, because a lot of companies are design build. So what are you looking for the builder past design?
Well, I think they need to be an established company in the area.
Local,
Definitely local company. The designer doesn't have to be. It's like we're not local. We travel, but we don't. It's okay because we don't have to be out there every day on your job. We are only out there on different segments of it. But I think it really helps when you're looking at a builder when you get their estimates. I feel like it would be great if everybody broke everything down individually. Oh my gosh, that would be so easy to pick out your pool builder, because you could compare apples to everybody.
Well, it doesn't work that way.
Everybody's different. Everybody's different, but at least, and also when we're starting at this first, make sure you ask the right questions. Make sure you're on the same page with what's included, what's not included, because I hear so many stories of halfway through the job that the customers are finding out, oh, this wasn't included. Oh, this wasn't included. So this wasn't in your paperwork.
Yeah, like a lot of ones that are just have to happen on every pool that don't come up is fencing. All of a sudden, fencing isn't included. Landscaping's not included.
Gas lines.
Yeah, utilities.
Fixing your irrigation. Fixing where repairing your access to the backyard. You know,
Now, does it have to be done by the pool builder? No, but you need to know and have that conversation. Is that happening as part of their contract, or do you need to budget and maybe contact a third party to finish and button up those items?
yeah, and it also depends on when you're picking somebody out. Do they do it all? Because I can tell you, there is no company, there is none. When they say we do everything in house, that's an exaggeration. At least I don't know of everybody that does everything. That means, Rip, you have to have an electrician.
Well, I was getting ready to
You
defend
have to have
myself.
a plumber. No, but I could see that you're going to question that. So I'm telling you before you question it. You got to have your own rebar guy. You have to have a shotcrete truck. You have to have a PebbleTech truck. You have to have your own tractor to dig the pools. Some of those things, it would just be foolish. I mean, you're not going to go out and,
Yeah,
and
if you
buy
have a
some of those
shotcrete
things
company,
to do.
you need to be shooting a pool every single day.
Yeah,
That's 300
yeah.
plus pools a year. You're not gonna.
But it's okay if you don't. It's okay if you have a lot of contractors. At least if they're been working for the company years
No, I know
for
some.
years.
Yeah, some very good companies that don't have. They sub out everything, and then a company like mine, we did as much as we could in house. But that means we couldn't do a lot of volume, but we did everything we could in house. But there's just some things that you have to sub out.
Yeah. There's another company that has their own designer, landscape crew, stone crews. So they do a whole lot in house, and the things that they don't do, they already have contacts for a fence guy, for a irrigation guy, for those different elements that you want in the pool. But it would be kind of nice. It kind of depends on what kind of time you have. But if you could find a company that could do all of those elements for you, to me is the best. Now, chances are they're probably going to be a little bit more expensive than you piecing it all together yourself.
Yeah, but then it's gonna.
So you know what? You're just going to have to weigh that out and say, what's more important to me, to have one company, which to me I think that's the best, or do I want to do everything else myself? Because let's face it, real, a company that does it all, any subcontractor or a company that does it all, they are needing to tack on money onto theirs because they're responsible for it, and that's just logical. So that means they are going to be costing a little bit more. But they are going to be responsible for all those things, and so that goes kind of a long way on on what they do in the chart and the cost.
And I think the important thing is having those conversations up front to know kind
that
of
is, you need to have all those questions. Everything that we just said, you need to have all those questions in mind when you're.
Well, another
picking
thing
somebody
is, if you are designing, say you're doing a modern pool and you're interviewing pool builders, it would probably be smart to look at pool builders that have done some modern style pools or waterfalls. Choosing some guys that have some experience of doing some waterfalls, grottos, things like that. You don't want them learning on your job. So I think making sure they have experiences similar to what your project's going to be is important.
Yeah, and something that a lot of people don't think about is because all pool companies, or everybody really, they're going to put their best pictures and videos on their website. They're going to put their best. So you need to kind of check out people's pictures, because if you want something big, elaborate, you want cabanas, you want some, a big job in your yard, but then you go to one company and all they have is all these basic pools, and you remember, that's their best, because why wouldn't you put your best on your website? Then you may kind of want to question, are they capable of doing what I want them to do? So that's just kind of my thought on that anyway, right?
Yeah, so if they haven't reached the bar level of being able to show you, again, similar jobs to what you're looking to do, then they're probably not the right person for you. References, we talked a little bit about that. You'd said, you'll get feedback online, and if someone's established enough, you're going to read some bad reviews, so you can't just weigh it just on that. But I tell you what, personal references, hey, my cousin or my neighbor or something along those lines has had a good experience.
Yeah,
that's a great way to go.
Yeah, and I do think when you're looking at references online, and I'm telling you, first of all, everybody should have comments and references on them, good or bad, online. If you're not, that means you haven't been in business that long. But it doesn't matter what product or what service that you do, you are going to have some bad references online. Or it's not references, it's reviews online. you're going to have to read between the lines on that, and that's kind of up to you guys. Everybody's going to have, a bad review or two or three. It just kind of matters really on what level they are.
And read the details of them.
Got to read the details. You got to kind of read between the lines on them. If you get multiple people saying this, the owner of this company ran off with my money and is a crook, you probably want to run from him, right?
Well,
but you have to read between the lines on all the other ones, and so you got to look at if they're a big pool company, they may have built 1,000 pools, right? And they may have, it's just kind of up to you and what you feel, and just read between the lines on those.
So yeah, read them with a grain of salt, and then making sure they're established. I think that kind of hand in glove with what we just discussed.
Yeah. And I think so. What do you think about calling references? Because I feel like everybody could give you 3 names that are happy, and so nobody's going to give you somebody in the middle of the road or not happy, right? So how important to you, Rip, are when somebody hands you 3 names that the people call them? What do you kind of read into that?
Well, for me, I love my clients that I've done business with, and I certainly will ask for their references, but I don't want to overdo it either. So, when I was a builder, I was very mindful of not overdoing it. Now, if push came to shove, and I really wanted that job, and that was going to take it over the level of there, then I absolutely would. But it really depended on the situation. I didn't just send out a list of my clients to call on.
No, I meant when you have somebody.
That was a very good answer to the wrong question.
That was a very good answer, which I wouldn't have asked it. But what I was trying to say is, any company, they should be able to give you 3 references for you to call. And so obviously those references, sometimes I kind of feel like that's a little bit of a waste of time, because you're going to get good references.
Yeah. You're not going to give out bad references,
so
of course.
You could pretty much guarantee when you get references that you call, they're going to be good.
Well, that's one of the reasons and part of that was me shortchanging that in my mind. Anyways, it's like, of course, if I give you a reference, it's going to be a good one. So it's not something I commonly did.
Yeah. So, but
referrals, that's different.
Now, if there's some specific questions that you want to ask, another thing is get the time frames. There's some, like in Georgia, there's some places that could take in Atlanta, it could take 6 months to get a permit. In other counties for the same, in the same county or in a different county for the same job, it could take 2 weeks. So you want to make sure that you find out how long is it going to be to get your permit, how long the construction is going to be in your yard, and just what the whole time span is. And I'm telling you, I think like September, October, November, that's not too early to start thinking about next year, right? Because you're not.
No, not at all. It's almost too late.
But we do have another segment coming up that's going to be types of pools. It also depends on the type of pool you're going to have. Because if you put in a fiberglass liner, it's going to be a whole lot quicker than putting in another one. But anyway.
What about manufacturers as far as like pool equipment? Some people are Pentair, some people are Hayward, some people are Jandy. Would you choose a pool builder based on that?
I would, I would let them tell me why they're using what they're using. I mean, I'm a big believer in using Jandy. I think Pentair is another good one. I'm not going to really say anything about the ones that I don't recommend to people, but I feel like, so your equipment that's like the engine of your car. It's just so important. And some of the top brand names, they're going to cost you a little bit more than others. But you know what? In the grand scheme of things, it's just a drop in the bucket on how much it's going to cost you.
So I would go with what that pool company is comfortable with.
Yes.
Because there's programming and stuff like that, and they're not all the same. They're you got to learn one. So I'm pretty good at Pentair and pretty good at Jandy. Done a little bit of Hayward, but I wouldn't put a Hayward in because it's going to take me forever to kind of figure out how to do the programming on it and how to go through all that. Yeah. So I wouldn't. They're all put in correctly. They all work great. So I would choose whichever one the pool builder recommends.
Find out on warranties. I think most pool equipment has probably got. I know Jandy's got 3-year.
Pinto
right?
is 3-year.
And so find out what your on your warranties, what the warranty is on your workmanship from the company that you're, is it a year? Is it 2 years? Your plaster, find out the warranty. How many? PebbleTech is 15 years. So find out about that. And another thing is, when I mentioned PebbleTech, is it really PebbleTech or is it a
Good
brand
point.
name?
Good
Because
point. Yeah.
there are Stonescapes or other brand names. So make sure. Usually, when pool companies will say PebbleTech, it usually is PebbleTech. But if they say Pebble Product, it's probably not PebbleTech. So make sure that you ask that, because that's.
So what he's talking about is
important.
actually the surface of the pool,
That's
as
right.
opposed to pool plaster.
And
It's
this
an
is a shock
exposed
reader
aggregate.
gunite pool.
And there's different manufacturers of exposed aggregate. PebbleTech is the one that we're both most familiar with. The company here is fantastic. And there's other similar manufacturers, and other companies are using those. And I don't think there's a huge difference in maybe the product, but there might be a difference in the training. Because I know with at least with our local PebbleTech guys, they go through extensive training and they stand behind their product very well. So
Yeah.
in our market, that's kind of like it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. And I do want to say this: the last one is your if you do a shock reader gunite. Some people will come out there as far as warranty, and they'll say, "We'll give you a lifetime warranty." What does that even mean? What is it? Because I'm telling you, the people that's doing the shotcrete shell, the contractor, are doing the gunite shell. They're not giving that pool contractor a lifetime warranty. They're giving them a year, maybe 2, but a year or 2. And so what does that even mean, lifetime? And so it may sound good, you get a lifetime, but why are they going to stand behind giving you a lifetime when they're not giving a lifetime from their pool shell company, And so kind of take that kind of as it is, in my
So
opinion.
why is that? Is that because everybody does that, or is that because
Somebody will say that. What it is, this guy over here said they give a lifetime. I mean, that doesn't even make sense that you're going to get a lot. But let me give you the bottom. Probably in 25 years, I've only seen 2 or 3 cracked shells. I wasn't involved in them. It was something I was caught over on them. What they all had in common is all these pools. One was a spa that broke off. What they all had in common is the pool was built onto field dirt, and they didn't have any piers. They didn't have solid ground. And the pool settled, it cracked. But other than that, you're not going to have a cracked shell very often unless it's not built on solid ground or have piers under it. And usually with pool equipment, most of the time, if it's going to go bad, you're going to see it almost when you turn it on. And 3 years is great, but usually when you open up the box and you've started is usually when you first have the problems, and then that could be replaced with the.
So if you are on an area that you suspect there's soil issues, talk to your builder about that. You might end up getting a third-party engineer to come out there. You might do helicals in our area. We do lots of helical piers to shore up the pool. You may overdig the pool, add more rebar, more steel, more concrete to lock it in. So again, have an established pool builder should start addressing those issues,
but definitely ask that question. What could happen if you run into rock? What happens if you run into a creek? Ask your pool builder that. See what answers they give you, because that's a good question that you ask. What things could happen that would cost me money that I don't know, or what you're not telling me? You want to know it all before you go in and pick somebody. But trust your pool builder, which is going to be your sales guy. So trust them. And look at references, look online, do your research, make comparisons. But to me, it's kind of, who do you trust when you go out there? Because if you kind of get a good sense of when you meet somebody, if they care about your job, if you can trust them, what they're saying is what they're going to stand behind. And that's kind of your initial thing, and who you can work with for several months. The last thing you want to do is be working for some jerk, for the next few months.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, there's just a lot of variables. So, but if you do have, you got anything else on that, Rip?
No, I think we're good.
Yeah. So if y'all got any more questions, I feel like between us both, we can answer almost any question you have on a pool in your backyard. So comment below, subscribe, like us, and we will. We should see you on our next segment.